I'm your host, B, and this is the Healer's Honey podcast. Welcome to episode 2 of the podcast. I really hope this works because I tried to film it all 2 weeks ago and had so many technical difficulties. It was very sad, but here we are. Take 2. Trying again. Also, please check out my sick dog. My partner's mom works with a groomer as the bather at a local shop, and they made him so beautiful for me. And look at my rainbow unicorn dog. On top of my dog getting new hair, I also have gotten new hair. And it was cut, lightened, colored by the wonderful Mia. She does work at a salon out in Sacramento called Geometry Salon. They're extremely inclusive and it's just a really comfortable atmosphere, and I highly recommend going there if you're in the area. Also, look up Modern by Mia because she is the stylist who did this amazing look on me. And this is actually after 2 weeks or more of washes, and I have to wash my hair pretty regularly after work. So these colors are vibrant, they are staying, they are glorious. Okay, so that's my one little plug for this. And also, this sweater is by Udisi Apparel. It's another one of my friends out in Sacramento. He hand prints all of these shirts and sweaters and tote bags and other things that he has. He hand screen prints them all in his garage. His neighbor is the one who draws the art. I'll show you the back real quick. And this is just one of them. He's got Medusa and Aphrodite right now, and they're working on other designs, but it's kind of an up-and-coming brand trying to get established. So go ahead and check them out as well. I will leave all the links to my wonderful hairstylist and the apparel in the description of the podcast, whatever platform you're watching this on. The description will be somewhere and their information will be there. So for these podcasts, I like to do it a little bit different. I feel like a lot of people have their podcasts in the beginning of the month and they talk about all the up and comings and what's going to be happening and hoopity blah blah. And while I like to talk about those things, I also wanted to do an end of the month podcast to do more of a reflective type thing. What did I learn this month? What are my takeaways from the last month? So this month was February. Valentine's Day was this month. And so I wanted to dedicate this podcast to the topic of self-love and just love in general. I went through so many topics surrounding this last time. So let's see what we can cover today. Self-love has always been a little bit of a struggle for me. Growing up, I didn't always feel super loved, and while I got a lot of praise and attention, I also felt very in the background and neglected and unseen. On one hand, I had people who were telling me that I should be famous and I should pursue my dreams and that I wasn't trying hard enough to pursue my dreams and I just needed to go get them. And then on the other hand, I had people telling me, your dreams are unrealistic. You need to stop pursuing them and settle the fuck down, pretty much. So I had that confusing time. And then, everybody would tell me, oh, you're great at this and you're great at that. But also, like, you're not good enough in other things and you need to try harder in other things. And any normal person would probably be able to take the constructive criticism, but when you're like 6 years old and people are telling you that you're not good enough, it kind of hits you a little different. Your self-worth starts to decrease pretty intensely. And outside of just the adults in my life making me feel incapable, I also had my peers, my friends, my classmates, always making me feel weird, small, unimportant. I was always kind of the one who tried really hard to fit in because I never could fully fit in anywhere. So I did some really weird things like eat crayons and, just really try to get attention. Looking back, those moments in my childhood were very foundational in creating the person I became as I grew up. In my teens, I was really social, but also really isolated. I kind of had this lone wolf thing about me. I had like one best friend at the time. And a lot of times in my life, I had like one best friend and then would still kind of do my own thing. And I tried to socialize and be a part of different groups and whatever, but I just never really fit in anywhere. And usually the people I would pick as my best friend were highly toxic because I was seeking attention. And those were the only people that I could get the type of attention that I wanted from. But I learned a lot. I learned how to set boundaries. My circle is really small now. And I've been doing a lot of growing to be able to learn what type of people I want to allow in my life and what type of people I don't want clouding up my space. So, as difficult as my youth was, I am grateful for the lessons because in all of the being treated terribly and in my own self-worth becoming so low and horrible, I eventually sought out different methods to grow and change those patterns that I was thinking and feeling and the things that I was doing, the behaviors. And it took a lot. It took a lot of self-help books. It took trying, different kind of witchy rituals and ceremonies and a lot of different practices and a lot of being in uncomfortable situations and having the actual experience and being put in situations that sucked and having to face them and trying to face them mindfully using methods and understanding what was going on and how I needed to deal with it in order to get the best outcome and to feel the best and just not deal with so much bullshit later. But self-love, I think, for a lot of people is really difficult because, especially in certain communities and whatever, we hear, oh, you just gotta love yourself. Well, what does that even mean? Because loving yourself doesn't just mean you idolize yourself and you think you're just amazing and perfect and you give yourself little gifts all the time and whatever. And those things can definitely be included. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't mean just to completely idolize yourself in a sense. It's more about what really helped me is looking at my child self, understanding where my child self had been neglected, and as an adult, giving myself the things that I knew that I needed when I was little and didn't get. It was, instead of telling myself that I was stupid and never going to accomplish something, sitting and saying, look, I know that this is really hard, and I know that you feel really bad right now, but you're capable, and it's going to get better. And those kinds of things took me so long to figure out. And even once I figured them out, implementing those structures and models or whatever into my actual daily life was hard. When I feel absolutely horrible and am just raging and my emotions are all over the place and I'm talking really bad shit to myself, stopping myself and saying, no, that's not true. You're doing your best. You've never been a human before. You're experiencing humanism for the first time consciously that you know of, at least in this life and in this body. You've never been Bradley before. You are doing the absolute best that you can. And that is something to be proud of. And to take moments to, people talk about gratitude a lot, but I think that is also another kind of misconstrued practice is, just write down 10 things you're grateful for and you're just going to feel better. Well, it's so much more than that. If you can even take the time to find one thing that you are grateful for. Maybe it's just a cup of coffee. But think about the coffee. And if you can have it in your hand, even better. But imagine the smell and the taste. And in your head, imagine the shininess and the colors of the beans. Think about all the flavors and how it feels in your mouth and just how relaxing and nourishing and like good that feels and how much you love. You wake up and you smell coffee and you're like, damn, that's fucking amazing. How lucky am I to be a human who wakes up in this body with this nose and gets to smell that coffee? How lucky am I to be able to taste that delicious beverage whenever I want? Or even if it's, Starbucks every other Tuesday. Damn, that's so delicious. I am so grateful that I get to have this in my life and feel it in your body. Like really feel all of the reasons that you enjoy it. Imagine them, visualize them, taste them, anything that you can do. Describe it to yourself and all of the things that you love about it. And that is a better gratitude practice than writing some big list of things that you're grateful for and not embodying it. Because a lot of the fruition comes from embodiment. I had all of these thoughts and all of these ideas and was trying to do all of these different things, but I wasn't mindful. I wasn't truly feeling it. And once I started to work on the embodiment, my life literally changed. I had some crazy stuff happen last year, which I will get into, I promise, but I had to get completely sober off of cannabis and alcohol. I still occasionally have like a beer here and there, a drink in a fancy place or whatever, try something new. I'm not totally sober that way, but I really don't have more than a drink or two, and it's a whole thing. But I had to really step back from substances and get a clear mind to be able to fully embody things. And once I did that, after a couple months, I'm a new person. I am my best self. I feel good. I'm confident. I am more capable. I used to not be able to go to the grocery store by myself. I would just feel so much anxiety and paranoia. And now I'm the one in the grocery store when I'm with somebody and they can't find something. I'm running around trying to ask somebody, hey, do you know where this is? Like, I used to not be able to order my food at the restaurant. Now I'm like, oh, what do you want? I got it. And then I will tell the waiting person, waitress, waiter, what have you, oh, this is everybody's order. This is what we want to do. I'm so much more open and communicative and willing to face things. I'm more adventurous. I'm just a different freaking person. And I really blame that on being able to be in my body and to be super mindful about the experiences that are happening to me, through me, for me, around me, all of it. And like I said, this does not happen overnight. These are methods. I think that I found real paganism and witchcraft when I was young. I remember I rented a book from the library. I was probably 12 years old. And I got in trouble because I was raised in a Christian household. And my dad was like, what are you doing? You're going to invoke the devil. And, this isn't safe. And I was just like, how is picking some flowers and being grateful to the earth like devil worship? And, everybody has their own beliefs and that's fine. I'm a very spiritual person. I believe in the earth. I believe in energies. I believe in a lot of things. And while I do have a relationship, in a sense, with the spirit of Jesus, I would not consider myself really a part of any religion. I'm just a spiritual person and I like to leave it at that. Everybody has their own thing and that's fine. But I was really young when I started discovering these practices that really just resonated with me and that I knew I wanted to pursue and just felt like a homecoming. As I grew up, I got more into things like yoga and meditation and using magic and spells to manifest and to, I like to call it spicy psychology, because while it's not necessarily I'm going to flick my little wand and all the lights are going to twinkle, you know, whatever. It's not like magic. It's not like that. It's spicy psychology. You take talismans and totems like rocks and symbols and leaves and, you know, smoke from incense and whatever, and you find the symbolism. You create this cocktail with all of these things that are directed towards whatever your goal or ambition is. And you feel it. You take time to feel it in your body and believe that whatever you want is going to happen for you. You magnetize it. You align with it. You get your mind so set on this is going to happen and I'm doing this spell to bring this in. And whether you think about it as, oh, it's just a spell and the spell is going to work because it's magic, or because you're like, I am using all of these things to align my own self and it's a mindset thing, whatever you believe, if you can do it in a way that you really embody that feeling in that moment of, I have whatever it is that I want, eventually you will get it. Because I did all these practices, and as much as I loved them and thought they were so cool, I couldn't fully embody anything because I was so stuck in certain thought patterns. I would worry and I would second guess. But once I was able to clear my mind and truly feel it and truly believe in myself and what I was doing and what I wanted, I'm like unstoppable. There are some things I still struggle with, don't get me wrong, but man, things have significantly changed for me. And I really do blame it on getting sober and being so dedicated. I have had dreams since I was young. And they've pretty much always been the same, though they've evolved a little bit. They're among the same themes. And so I always attribute my growth and my success to being so determined. And I tried from a very young age to get better. I was really into therapy. I was studying psychology. I was doing everything that I could, spiritual or scientific. I was, reading all these self-help books and spiritual books and watching podcasts and YouTube videos and researching things, as much as I could possibly do, I was doing it. And I was trying everything. But I didn't fully believe in anything that I was doing. And I was like, maybe this isn't going to work. And so it didn't. And it took until recently, a good 10 plus years for me learning and gathering the information, trying and failing, and then finally really believing this is going to happen for me, and just making it happen. And maybe that sounds a little bit simplified, because it was not simple, let me tell you. But my self-love journey has been a really long one. And only recently have all the things that I've learned started to work for me. But also recently, I have decided to dedicate more of my time and my effort to myself and to making a better life. And it's with that dedication and those practices and really prioritizing myself and my growth that I've actually had that growth come to fruition. There are so many little things that you can do in whatever religion or spiritual practices you're into, prioritize that stuff. Think about just taking literally a few minutes every day, once a week, every other week, as long as you're doing something once a month, whether it's 5 minutes or 8 hours, 12 hours, a whole day, you know what I mean? Do something for you. Do not let the voices in your head tell you, oh, but this isn't productive, or this is stupid, or, my grandma would hate me right now if she knew what I was doing because I'm not working or tending my garden or, whatever the fuck. It's just stop listening to everybody else. Stop listening to that voice in your head that's telling you you're not worth it, because that voice is only there because other people around you have taught you to talk to yourself like that. Most people talk to themselves like that. But the people who succeed and are successful and are happy know that that kind of talk does not get you anywhere. You have to be kind to yourself. Even if everybody else in this whole world is mean to you, you have to find things to be kind to yourself about. Find any reason that you are proud of yourself. You are alive when you didn't think that you would be, or when you thought that you might do something to make yourself not alive. What a fucking accomplishment. Wow, you are strong enough to be here right now. That is incredible, and you should be so proud of yourself. You got out of bed after a week-long depression and washed your hair. Maybe you didn't even brush your teeth, but you washed your hair. Or vice versa. You brushed your teeth, you didn't wash your hair. Good on you. You care about your body. You do. Even if you don't think that you do, you do. And you are making an effort to take care of yourself. You give a shit about yourself. And that is something to be proud of. It could be as big as, like for me, I'm taking some tests and I'm going to get my GED soon. Fucking sick. I am going to be 28 when I actually graduate high school. And you know what? That's dope. I'm so proud of myself. It took me a really long time to become mentally stable enough and willing enough to put in the work to do this. Cool. Maybe you just got a new job after being unemployed for a while and it is really hard for you to show up. But you're showing up. You're showing up for you. And you know what? You're making money, which gives you options in the world. Like, dope. Like, look at you. Maybe you're starting a business or paying more attention to your pets or your children or your partner or your family or your friends or whatever. Maybe it's a hobby you haven't done in a long time and you finally picked up your guitar or your paintbrush or your video game controller and you're sitting down and you're giving yourself some time to indulge in what you love. That is fucking awesome. And I hope that you do more of those things. We as humans have a tendency to be negative, to be doubtful, to be hesitant. And maybe it's taught and maybe it's inherent. Maybe it's just our nature. But if we have learned all of these things over time, we can unlearn them and we can learn something else. Old dogs can learn new tricks. Let me tell you. This guy was like 8 years old when I taught him to jump through a hoop. Okay, if he can do that, and if he can learn how to sit and wait for his food with only hand signals at like 13 years old, that's a senior freaking citizen. 13 times 7, I'm not even going to do the math because I can't in my head and I don't want to get a calculator. But that is pretty dang old, okay? And if he can learn that, you can learn whatever you desire at any age. You can learn to appreciate yourself. And that appreciation for yourself and your accomplishments, that gratitude for the things that you have done and will do, that grows. It grows into confidence. And that confidence grows into capability. And that capability leads you to opportunities and leads you to seeking out more. And all of those things, as long as you show up for yourself, you will achieve your dreams. And I try to imagine that the big dreams that I want, the farm, the yoga retreat, Airbnbs, the making music and, you know, maybe playing big shows with a couple thousand people in the audience. Like, I try and imagine those things will come true for me. And for me, those things seem pretty damn realistic. But sometimes I'm like, can I really do that? And then I have to think to myself, like, yo, I can do that if I really want to do that. Like, I will make it happen. And it gets really difficult sometimes because you do want to weigh out, you know, what is this like realistic and, you know, am I capable? But the more you do little things, like I never thought I would be a high school graduate. I'm about to be a high school graduate. I never thought that I would go to college, let alone enjoy it and want to pursue multiple degrees. But I'm halfway through 2 associate's degrees. 2 associate's degrees, not just one, but I plan to get 2 of them. And I love it. Like, I did not see that for myself. But I am so amazed by myself that I'm showing up for these things that I feel like I can do even more. After I get my associate's degrees, I'm like, all right, what bachelor's do I want? What careers do I want? What businesses do I want to create and run? And like, I have so many things that I just want to do. And I know that I'm going to probably do most of them. Because I want to so bad. And I am willing to dedicate time and energy into myself and therefore into those things. I have to make sure that my head is on right. I take time to take care of myself before I do anything. I prioritize taking care of my mind and being in the right mindset before anything else. And not all of us have that luxury. However, you can sacrifice something. Maybe you watch a little bit too much TV. All right, turn it off and go for a really nice walk. 5 minutes. Go around the block once. You will feel a little bit better. Do more things for yourself. And when you feel better, you will feel more excited and more eager to try something new. And those new things will be opportunities that might lead you to your dreams. Whether your dream is to finally be renting your first apartment, or to have a small house in the suburbs, or to have a family, or something as big as owning 3 Lamborghinis and being the CEO of some really successful company. Like, literally whatever it is, you just have to break it down into small bite-sized pieces and say, all right, where do I start? And don't think about your time limit. Do not say, oh, in 3 years, I want to have $1 million. Don't do that to yourself. Throw that time limit out the window. Age is irrelevant. Time is irrelevant. Don't even think about time. Quality is what is important. How do I feel? How am I freaking feeling right now? Am I happy? Am I doing the things that I want to give me the future that I want? I look at my life very often and I assess and I say, okay, what are things that I'm doing that I'm happy about? And what are things that I'm doing that I'm not so happy about or that really aren't benefiting me? Helpful and harmful. Okay, this is a very, I think, amazing exercise. And sometimes, make like an actual paper list. I do this, I do this, I do this. A day in the life and how that accumulates to your week and your month. And think about, okay, now what is that going to look like in a couple years? So time is only relevant to a degree, but deadlines, I don't like to put deadlines on myself. I could be 80 years old and getting a master's degree in something, and finally my first album comes out. And you know what? That's cool. I still put out an album. I still got a master's degree. Who cares that I'm 80? I did that shit, and that's dope. And yeah, it seems like, oh, well, if it does take that long, is it really worth it? Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah, it is. Doing anything you want, it took me a long time to let go of certain societal constructs and things and create my own path and accept my own journey. Society puts all of these expectations and limitations on us, and we feel like we need to check off all the boxes and follow that route because everybody's doing it, so it must be the right thing. If you don't feel comfortable in your job, create a new job if you can't find one that you like. Money is a commodity that moves fluently. It is constantly coming and going. It is out there for the taking. You just have to find ways to acquire it. And sometimes those ways are unconventional. I am definitely learning that. But money, it's out there. Don't even stress about money because you can go get it if you really want to. I'm doing so many things right now. I have the first job I have had since 2020. And in between that, I was doing odd jobs and I was still getting by. But now I have like a real job, getting real paychecks, getting my tax return back, and that's actually going to be pretty nice. So I'm excited. But I've just had this mindset change about money. I used to really think, oh, I come from a low income family. That kind of stuff is not for me. Nobody really went to college. We're not that successful, so I'm not going to be that successful. I'm not capable. I had to change that mindset and think, I am capable of a lot more than I even know. If I just show up for myself and I'm willing to try, that's a lot more than a lot of people I know can say. A lot of people are too scared to just show up, and just showing up is going to give you so many opportunities, whether you succeed or fail, because failure isn't failure. It's a lesson learned. And you can take that knowledge and that information and apply it to the next thing. And taking time to pursue your own self and your own dreams is going to make you feel good. And that feeling good about yourself, that prioritizing your self-care, that is self-love. And so over the course of February, I have been working really hard on those kind of constructs and things and routines and mindsets that my self-talk and the way that I take care of myself is so important. And I've moved a lot of things around in my life to be able to take care of myself the way that I need to. And in doing that, I have built a great relationship with myself. I feel good about myself. I feel confident in myself and in my future. I'm really excited for my future. I never felt that way. I didn't even know if I would be alive this long. I really didn't see myself being alive very long after my teens. I figured early 20s is probably it. I won't make it anymore because I had such severe depression. I did not know if I would survive it. And I still have bad days. Do not get me wrong. I have some bad days. But I see a future. And that future is so bright. And no matter what you're doing, where you've come from, if you just make the decision and you stick with it to apply yourself to even be 1% better. And I'm going to plug this book in a minute. But that 1% over time adds up to the biggest shift. And it makes such a difference. If you haven't read the book, Atomic Habits, I will even go grab it really quick. This book is called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I actually had a coach, Erin, I'm totally spacing, but Erin, she's amazing. She was doing Beachbody stuff, and so I signed up with her for that for a little bit, and that was actually really dope. But she sent me this book as part of my little welcome to her crew package, and this book literally changed my life. Like, this is, none of this stuff in here is sponsored, okay? I'm just doing me and telling you the things that I love and that have worked for me. But seriously, Atomic Habits gives you a lot of, it talks about that 1% change. And I think that 1% change is just so freaking important, because that 1%, every time you grow a little bit, you feel good. And you're like, oh, if I did that, what can I do next? Then eventually you become limitless. There's so many feelings. There's so many feelings. It just feels so good to have been where I was. I was sick. I was underweight. I was extremely depressed, anxious. I even had bouts of mania. Severe PTSD. I did not see a future for myself. I applied for disability. I did. I even applied for disability. And when they called me back this year to say, hey, we finally reviewed your application, we want to talk to you more, I said, you know what? I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm good. That was crazy. It was a little intimidating because I was like, what if I can't do it? And then immediately I was like, I'm already doing it. There's no going back for me. I'm good. Like, it's just been such a journey to get to where I am right now. And I'm so grateful to be here and to be talking to you I'm like, this project for me too is sick. Like, this is one of my dreams. So I, right now, sitting here doing this podcast, I'm literally living out one of my dreams. And knowing that, understanding that, feeling that, it's like, what else can I do? What other dream can I make come true? It's really little things, guys. Really little things. They just accumulate into this giant mass of awesomeness. You just have to make the decision to try. So, I've probably rambled about this stuff long enough. I'm sure I was a little bit all over the place. There's just so much in this topic of self-love to talk about. And I hope that I covered everything that I really wanted to. I think that I did. I know that there's more that I could say, but I'm going to cut myself off now. I'm going to let you guys go, do your thing. But seriously, I highly encourage you, take a little more time for yourself, do some planning, and throw out the deadlines. But just find things that you love and that you want and figure out how you can work towards them in super small ways. Even if it's literally just learning to appreciate yourself and learning to feel self-love. Every day, do that little gratitude practice. I love that I am so determined and I'm sitting here right now and taking the time to do this for myself. That's great. I feel so grateful for showing up for myself. That alone, over time, is going to make a huge difference in who you are. Your best self will come out if it's not coming out already. But the fact that you're sitting here watching this and listening to this, you want to do things for yourself. You want to evolve. You want to be your highest, best, most awesome self. So seriously, invest in that. Invest in you, and you will be so, so grateful and excited and joyful about what your future has to hold, because I guarantee you it's going to be fucking awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 2. I'm sure this one was longer than the last one. I'm tired and I need to finish my coffee and stretch. Seriously, I'm stretching. You should stretch. Just reach your hands up. Move side to side. Maybe go backwards just a little bit. Wiggle your little fingers. Touch your toes. And take a deep breath. Alright, guys. Our minds are ready. Our bodies refreshed. Stay hydrated. Take your vitamins. Do whatever it is that you want to do. And I will see you next time. Thank you so much for supporting the Healer's Honey podcast and project. Please like and subscribe or follow to stay up to date with future content. I'm your host, B, and I'll see you next time.